Okay, today's video, we're going to talk about call assets in Google Ads and the strategy that we have for it to look more local, basically using a local number. We'll get you 20% more free calls, okay? When I say local number, I don't mean just, using a local number in your call asset, call extension, if you still want to call it that. That's what they were used to called, where you have a phone number on the bottom part of the ad. No, we're talking about basically if you target more than one area code in your business, whether you're a local service, local product, national service, national product, the fact that your ad says a local number underneath the ad, what we found is you'll get a lot more calls. If you're in selling a product where you typically wouldn't get a call, your ad's going to get more clicks because it's on there. Just because you have the local number on there, you look local, people would rather do business with the local company. It's a nice little extra hack to get you more results if you can do it. Obviously, most of the benefit you're going to get is any business that actually gets calls. Not so much that they're going to click the phone number and call right then and there, because a lot of people actually will. But the fact that it's there and it looks local is going to make your ad have a much higher click-through rate, or considerably higher click-through rate than what you had before if it weren't there, given that people want to do business with the local business. Even if you're not in a local business type or in a market where it's even a local business type, such as if you sell high-end drafting services. And normally anymore, people don't want to come into your office anymore. They're willing to hire a company that's in another city, okay? The fact that your phone number's there will get them more likely to click on that ad, even though they're not thinking in their mind that they want to deal with someone local, or even that they had to deal with someone local up front, which is why this strategy actually works. So with that said, I'll go through the methodology here of what you can do on your side to get the 20% more extra free calls or 20% more profits if you're not trying to necessarily look for calls, but like I said, can use this trick to make your business look more local for people that are trying to decide what ad to click on. And with that said, get the results out of it that you're trying to get at the end of the day. So with that said, as I mentioned before at the very start of this video, the more local you look, the more literally any business type you're promoting will convert. Okay? Whether that be a local service, local product, national service, or national product, okay? So, why people want to deal with the local business, there's plenty of reasons that would explain this. For the most part, it's people want to know if they get screwed over, that there's a local place that they can go track you down at. It's just like having a phone number on your website in general. We know in the e-commerce space, you'll convert, for instance, multiple percentage points higher. We're talking upwards of 50% higher having a phone number on your website than if you didn't have it. Assuming you're selling something even moderately expensive. That is over $50. Why? Because people want to know the fact that if they have a problem that they can call this company. A lot of times they'll want to call, and if they can't find a number, they won't buy. But the fact the phone number is there is comforting to them that if they have a problem, they're going to be able to get the issue dealt with. Versus if this website looks like it's just a website and there's no, all you can do is buy a product and then email back and forth with them. They don't feel comfortable doing business with that company if it were questionable to start with. You weren't a brand to start with. They're not, it was just an excuse for them to just leave and say, oh, I don't want to trust this company. So like that, taking this a bit further, the fact that there's a local phone number here that makes you look local, they have a physical presence locally, gives them a little bit more comfort in the fact that they can actually go and visit you if they have a problem. Not just call, but physically come in. People also want to buy from people like them. They think if somebody's local to them, that person's got values like them. They don't trust outsiders, and therefore also they're going to buy from you at a higher rate because of that. And I'm sure there's plenty of other psychological reasons why somebody would want to buy somebody that's local versus national. We use this all the time in terms of national companies trying to look local. If we're selling a product development service, which is a client we had, we'll put the name of the city that the user's in the ad, because that'll drastically increase click-through rates, almost double. The fact that Denver's in the ad, if that user that's searching from Denver, even though we're targeting nationwide, can see Denver in the ad right away. So with that said, localized phone number actually kind of is even better than that, even though it doesn't have quite the effect that having the city name in the ad is, which you should also do. Because even though Denver's in the ad, they're not going to physically come into your office. So why not take advantage of the fact that appearing local, you'll get more click-through rates and then therefore more profit from your ads, because higher click-through rates always means you're going to make more, there's more available, you're going to pay lower cost per click and so forth. But the phone number looking local is something that people know, for the most part, according to them at least, can't be faked. They don't understand that there's tracking numbers and you can route all the local numbers into one main number and therefore have a number that's just meant to look local, where really it has no individual purpose, like we're talking about using with this strategy in this particular video. So now that you understand the benefits of these local phone numbers, essentially getting you more response rate out of the people calling from the call extension itself, and the people clicking through your ads at a higher rate, how do you actually do this, okay? So before, Google had it to where whatever call extension or the phone extension that you had on your ad, if you did not have that phone number listed on your website, your call extension would get disapproved. Google recently has set up a new system where on your landing page or on your website, there's a tag that you can add to your page to get the phone number on your ad extension or call asset, if you will, like Google calls it now, approved, even though that phone number is not listed on your website, which is what makes this whole strategy possible. It's where you can have 100 different numbers for 100 different area codes that you're targeting with your ads, even though none of those numbers are actually on your website. So, and then with that, your ad can have local number for that user every time so that they think you're a local business to them, even though you're not, and getting 20% more calls from that ad or 20% more click-through from your ad if you're talking about not trying to generate calls, but having click-through rate on your ad, at least 20% because you have that on there. So this is a very effective way to just get more out of a campaign that you already have going without having to change fundamentally anything about your business. You just got to go ahead and set up a bunch of local numbers for the different areas that you're targeting. And you can easily do this inside Callrail, individual phone numbers inside Callrail that you can set up that will then route your phone calls to your original number that you normally take all your sales calls from, is $3 a month. So naturally, if you're targeting 1,000 different zip codes, this might be obviously pricey. You're going to pay $3,000 a month. For local businesses, this is a lot more feasible, as is regional, but even in the national business context, there's enough meat here that you're going to be able to get out of your campaigns as they exist by having a local phone number there listed, that it actually might be worth it for you to do on a national basis, depending on how much you're making from your ads right now. And what you could easily, obviously, do is set up and do this for one area code, have a local number show up for a person there, so that that person from that area code sees a local number on the ad with that matches the area code on the number matches their area code, and see what the increase in response is. It's not that hard to tell if you're getting more calls or more click-through after you have this ad extension on your ad. Run the test, do the math as to see if you rolled this out over the whole country whether it would be worth it to pay $3 a number for each area code that you're targeting or not. If you are already profiting from this strategy, you could go ahead and make a little bit more money, at least twice as much money, I should say, by having multiple Google business profiles along with this strategy. So going for the same reasons why the local ad asset or phone number that's attached to your ad on Google search ads would get you higher click-through rates, higher calls, because there's a local number existing on that ad. If you do a location extension that is always local to the user, so basically what you're going to do is set up a Google business so let's just say to break this down more simplistically here, if you target, let's say you're an electrical service company that fixes outlets, wall outlets, and light fixtures and so on and so forth in the Denver area, okay? Denver is broken down into 3 different area codes, okay? What we've also seen is you could actually set up a Google business profile and have 3 different Google business profiles, 1 in each one of those area codes, so that you can have a location extension that's always close, a location extension that shows up on your ad that's always close to where that user physically is. So in addition to having an ad that says like electrical services provided, you can have a local phone number that matches that user's area code and a local address underneath it that matches that user's area code, and get even more click-through rate on that ad than you would have got otherwise, because you're going to look even more local. Yes, they see a local number, they're going to think you're local, but it will be even more believable and, should I say, noticeable if you have the location extension being that in that person's local area as well, versus like on the other side of town, they're going to, because when they see that, and a lot of times it can actually work against you, when they say, oh, it's across town, they probably aren't local. I'm not going to click on that ad. You want to avoid that, and that's why you do this strategy in the first place. So anyway, with that said, that's an extra bonus strategy you can use along with having different phone numbers for different area codes you're targeting, and having those phone numbers be attached to your ad in the call asset so that you always have a local number showing on your ad, even if you are selling products nationally to get higher click-through rates, or selling services nationally to get higher click-through rates. Just like if an ad has the user city in it, having the phone number be local will get you higher click-through rates. Having the location extension being local to the user will get you higher click-through rates. You can take this as far as you want to go and get higher and higher click-through rates by having each one of those additional things done with your ad. I made a whole separate video about how for national services we'll have the campaign broken down into 50 different sub-campaigns, and so that the ad can always say the user's state in it, because that's easy extra click-through rate you can get. This is just kind of an extension of that, having a localized phone number for each person that's on the ad to make it look even more local and more believable that it's local, if you will, even though users like the idea of it being local. Well, they're never going to come in 99.9% of the time. And the location extension makes it even more local, or look even more local, and therefore you're going to get the most click-through rates out of using this localization strategy to enhance click-through rates on your ads, or just calls. If you're talking about a local service and a lot of people click on the phone number on the ad itself, you'll get a lot more calls. At least 20% more calls when you have a local number versus a non-local number for the user in that call extension or call asset there that's on your ad. When you're talking about niches where you're not going to get calls from the call extension or call asset, now you're talking about increasing click-through rates, which you're going to at least increase the click-through rate 20% when you have a localized phone number there, because you look like you're a local operation, even though that user in that user's mind, they did not intend or even think they needed or wanted to deal with the local business in the first place. So with that said, that's the methodology that we're using almost every time for local businesses. We'll have the campaigns broken down so that we have different campaigns for different area codes, so that with a location extension, or excuse me, the call extension or call asset always has a local phone number And we also go we of course have the ad say the name of the user's city as well. So we even break it down further than that. In a larger metro area, we'll make sure every city within that metro area or that client service area over 50,000 in population has its own separate campaign. So the ad can always say that user's city name in the ad, and then has a phone number that matches that user's area code as well. Because it matters in terms of the increase in that click-through rate so much. So with that said, I want to wrap everything up with that. If you have any questions, leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a question or comment on this channel, usually within 24 hours time. If you have any ad-related question that you'd like to ask, you feel free to go ahead and ask. I'll try to my best using my last 15 years of experience to use my experience to put you on the right track with what you're doing with your ads again. With that said as well, if you are trying to find a source of information that's going to help you make millions of dollars a year running ads for your business, this is the channel that you want to subscribe to, as this is 40 hours a week at my firm. All I'm doing is testing different things at our firm to develop the strategies that work for the clients at our firm. With that, we have a team that helps us execute on things. My sole job is just to figure out what works with ads nowadays so that we know how to guarantee results for our clients' accounts, because that's the service we're offering. We're offering contingency ad services. The stuff that works as well as doesn't work, I give to you on a silver platter on this channel. So if you want information that comes straight from the source, this is the information you want to pay attention to. Most of the other information you're going to find online and on YouTube about PPC, about running ads online, is going to come from people who don't actually run ads, or they run a couple ads. They say they run ads. They don't really run their own ads. They don't focus just on the strategy like I do. So you should subscribe, and you should subscribe right now. Furthermore, you can also find my blog that I write with a lot of extra information, with step-by-step instructions on how to run certain strategies that are proven to work, with screenshots and all that. You can find that on my site at guaranteeppc.com/blog. If you are looking for somebody that you can hire to do everything I talk about in this video, this is exactly what we do for clients. And we do not charge our clients fees until we can get them a certain minimum amount of increase in results on their campaigns. And with that, you'd be the same ad spend. We would have to get a client more sales on the same ad spend before we charge a fee. Those sales are going to take care of any fees that we charge, and then some before we even have to ask for our fee. The only catch is, to work with us, you got to be in a space that we know we can get great results in. That is, we look at your ads, we know we can get great results for you. Otherwise, we're just going to tell you, it's probably not the right opportunity, and therefore we don't work with just any client. But if you want to see if we can work together, reach out to me at guaranteeppc.com. I'd be happy to give you a free assessment on what you're doing and see what the possibilities might be there. That said, also, if you're not looking to necessarily work with an ad agency, we've got ad templates that work in over 100 different niche markets at this time. We've been doing Guaranteed PPC for over 10 years now. With that, if we've worked in your niche market before, in a different geographic area that our client is in, you can take everything we develop for that market that you're in, copy and paste it into your own ad accounts in terms of ads, landing pages, campaign templates, all of it, and get the same results we're getting with none of the work and none of the money and the time we had to spend to figure out what works the best in your market, which many times we've spent 7 figures or more just trying to figure out what works the best in your market, just through the process of running the ads and running testing in a certain niche market for a few years' time. So, and with that, by the way, these templates work so good, we got people using the templates to just start other businesses. If you want to start a business with the highest chance of succeeding as possible, you could go ahead and use these templates that we have to sell a product that a client sells a lot of in country A. You're in country B, and you got turnkey results there, basically speaking. Or we got people starting lead generation businesses where they're selling leads. They're taking one of our templates that sell leads at a known cost, which is very low, and then having the ability to sell those leads to people in a certain niche or market and make a good living at it because our campaigns are so efficient that they're starting with. So if you're interested in any of those opportunities, you can also reach out to me at Guaranteed PPC. But with that said, I'll wrap everything up with that. If you have any questions, let me know, but I'll see you on the next one. See you later.